On the day Huaijin won the top rank in the imperial examinations, Lin Zhiwei, dressed in a beautiful gown, pressed herself against him. Congratulations, brother Huaijin. You are now a disciple of the Son of Heaven. Huaijin snatched her handkerchief and pulled her onto his horse in one swift motion. She nestled shyly in his embrace, drawing cheers and applause from the crowd. Hiding beneath the eaves, I watched the two of them, lost in each other's embrace, like newlyweds. Sighing, I tossed the calming sachet from my hand. Huaijin had always been frail. His emotions couldn't withstand such intense joy or sorrow. The medicine inside was carefully brewed by me over 2 sleepless nights, specially prepared for him. Now it seemed pointless to keep it. After all, the top scholar needed no physician's care, much less my petty concern. On the 7th day after Huaijin's victory, Lin Zhiwei moved into the Marquis' residence. She claimed her own home was under renovation and no nearby estate suited her, requesting to stay at the Marquis for a month. The Duchess of Yongning, my aunt, smiled and agreed, even granting her my residence. Tingyu Pavilion, Yuetang. Zhiwei is our guest. Your courtyard is quiet and elegant. It will be convenient for her to study there. My aunt took my hand, her tone gentle. There's another room in the west wing, though smaller. It's clean. Pack your things and move over. I lowered my gaze towards Huaijin, who had just finished his morning martial arts practice. What about you, cousin? What do you think? The first light of dawn filtered through as he sheathed his sword and stood. His white undershirt was already soaked through with sweat, clinging tightly to his chest and back. A strand of damp hair clung to his temple, adding a hint of austere restraint to his handsome features. I had strongly urged him to practice martial arts daily. His health had always been fragile. Only through diligent training could he build strength and resilience. He casually wiped sweat from his jaw with a raised hand, smiling at Lin Zhiwei. Her father has always doted on her, now that she resides in the Marquis mansion. It's an honor for us. You're always so magnanimous. Just bear with it for a while. I understood. Given that, I had no choice but to move to the west wing. But there was one thing I needed to tell my aunt before leaving. Aunt, do you remember? Today is the anniversary of my mother's passing. I'd like to go to the temple to burn incense first. I can move back after I return. My aunt paused, a flicker of awkwardness crossing her face. She had clearly forgotten the anniversary of her own sister's death. She paused, forcing a smile. I won't be going. Have the maid accompany you. Zhiwei has just settled in and needs help with arrangements. She can't spare anyone. And Zhiwei has been studying hard lately and keeps complaining of headaches. Since you know medicine, stop by Rinji Hall on your way back and buy some premium gastrodia. Make her a nourishing soup. With that, she dashed away like the wind, watching her hasty retreat. A cold smile touched my lips. Relatives. What good are they? Unreliable, as always, before mother passed. She clutched my hand and urged me to seek refuge with the Xie family. Yuetang. Go to your aunt. The home mansion is a noble house. I'll give you a stable life. Also, study the medical texts your father left behind diligently. Someday, they might save both yourself and others. My father had been the deputy chief physician of the Imperial Medical Academy, a prodigious talent in medicine since childhood. I inherited his gift, mastering medical knowledge with effortless recall. Mother didn't know that since Lin Zhiwei arrived, the meals at this Marquis residence no longer satisfied me. At the temple, I lit an eternal lamp for my mother. Kneeling before the Buddha, tears finally spilled. Memories rushed back, jostling for space. I recalled arriving at the Marquis residence at 10, freshly orphaned, clad in mourning robes. I stood before the imposing gates clutching a small bundle, utterly lost. Huaijin emerged and took my hand. He was only 12 that year, clad in a moon-white robe, his features as clear and bright as a painting. He looked down at me, his eyes filled with pity. You're my cousin Yutang. This will be your home from now on. He led me through the long corridor, pointing to the wisteria in the corner of the courtyard. When it blooms in spring, It'll be beautiful. He'll weave a wreath for my cousin, then he pointed to the plum tree outside the study window. Grandfather planted it. When admiring the snow in winter, its fragrance pairs best with the snow. Does my cousin like plum blossoms? They make wonderfully fragrant tea.no1 remembered my birthday that first year in the mansion. I hid alone in my room, staring blankly at an old hairpin left by my mother. At dusk, however, he knocked on my door, carrying a small food box. The maid said today is your birthday, he said, scratching his head with an apologetic look. I bought some pastries from Fanlu. I didn't know what you liked, so I got a little of everything. The box was packed full of peach blossom pastries, almond cakes, candied fruits, and more. It was the first time anyone had remembered my birthday since I came to the Marquis residence. I ate the pastries with my head bowed, tears nearly spilling from my eyes. He sat across from me, gently wiping away my tears. From now on, every year on your birthday, they'll be here with you. I believed those words for 7 years. At 12, I became engrossed in medical texts, spending my days immersed in the medical manuals my father had left behind. The servants at the Marquis residence mocked me for neglecting my proper duties, whispering behind my back that a young lady had no business studying medicine. Only Huaijin would slap their hands when he heard such gossip, then ask me earnestly, "What did you learn today?" He listened as I stammered through explanations of meridians and acupoints, as I excitedly described the ingenuity of ancient formulas. Though I knew he didn't truly understand, it didn't matter. What mattered was that he supported me. At 14, I secretly tried mixing my own medicine. I messed up the dosage and ended up coughing uncontrollably from the fumes. Seeing my face covered in soot, he turned pale with fright. How can you study medicine like this? What if something terrible happened? That day, he scolded me for ages. The very next day, he had a small medicine hut built in my courtyard, fully stocked with herbs and tools. From now on, test your concoctions here. It's safer. I spent countless days and nights in that hut. Whenever a new formula succeeded, he was the first I wanted to tell. Though he didn't understand medicine, he always smiled and praised me. Yue Tang, you're truly remarkable, the wisest woman in the world. When I was 17, he caught a severe cold and ran a high fever for 3 days. I stayed by his bedside, poring over medical texts and trying 3 different formulas before his fever finally broke. Those 3 days I didn't close my eyes, brewing medicine, administering needles, wiping sweat, my eyes burning red from exhaustion. When he awoke, I was collapsed asleep beside the bed, utterly spent. Later, the maid said the young master had stared at Miss Biao for a long time. They teased that Miss Biao would marry the young master sooner or later. I secretly believed it too, until he met Lin Zhiwei at the academy. Lin Zhiwei first visited the Ho residence last spring. She was the daughter of the Hanlin Academy's chief scholar, noble, talented, and beautiful. That day, dressed in a pale green gown, she glided in with grace and poise. Xie Huijin's eyes lit up. From that moment on, she was the only one he saw. When Lin Zhiwei mentioned disliking plum blossoms, he immediately had the old plum tree outside his study removed. When she expressed a love for qin music, he spent a fortune procuring the finest ancient qin in the capital for her. When she remarked that the Marquis kitchen was mediocre, he hired the most renowned chef from Fanlu the very next day to cook exclusively for her and me. He grew increasingly distant. The calming incense I blended for him, he said the scent was too overpowering. The hand warmer I prepared, he dismissed it as unnecessary. The nourishing soup I simmered, he told me to set it aside. And there it sat, untouched for days, until it grew cold and was discarded. The most painful moment was that day. In the dead of winter, he rose before dawn to brave the bitter cold and buy roast goose for Lin Zhiwei. He caught a chill and came down with a fever. When Lin Zhiwei came to visit, she brought a box of ginseng slices bestowed by the imperial court. Brother Huaijin, this is an imperial gift, the finest tonic for restoring health. Xie Huaijin accepted it, his eyes reddening with emotion. Zhiwei, You've been so thoughtful, Lin Zhiwei smiled. Glancing at the medicine packet ID placed on the table, ID stayed up 2 days straight concocting this remedy for Huaijin. To make him happy, ID even chosen his favorite pale blue wrapping paper. But unexpectedly, Lin Zhiwei looked down on it most. Such crude folk remedies. A hint of disdain flashed in her eyes. Should be used sparingly. What if her medical skills are lacking? Huaijin nodded gently at her. Zhiwei is right, then he looked at me. Cousin, you needn't trouble yourself anymore, what Zhiwei brings is imperial-grade medicine. Naturally. It cures all ailments over time. I came to understand. The one in his heart wasn't me. My labors couldn't compare to a medicine casually brought by another. Later still, he began avoiding me. Speaking only of Lin Zhiwei. My aunt had once favored me greatly, but after meeting Lin Zhiwei, she preferred her as a daughter-in-law. I, Qin Yu Tang, suddenly found myself unwanted. Emerging from the temple, the sky hung heavy and gloomy. The young maid held up an umbrella, offering to help me into the carriage. Cousin, shall we return? I was about to climb in when Auntie's instructions flashed through my mind. Never mind. You go ahead. They'll stop by the East Market to buy something, after all. Auntie had specifically told me to get tianma for Lin Zhiwei. Soon, I found Rinji Hall and bought the finest tianma available. Good things always come at a price. That small bundle of tianma cost me 10 taels of silver. The moment I paid, a fierce cold wind swept in. The market instantly descended into chaos. Vendor stalls toppled haphazardly as people scattered in all directions. I shielded my medicine bundle and ducked under an eave, watching the darkening skies. The wind grew fiercer, strong enough to knock a person over. Across the street at a tea stall, a young couple huddled together. The husband shielded his wife with one arm while clutching a pillar with the other. Further away, a mother clutched her child as her husband hurried over, wrapping his arms protectively around them both. Only I stood alone. If the wind grew any stronger, it might carry me away. Watching them, I suddenly felt profoundly lonely. Soon, pea-sized raindrops fell. Then a torrential downpour. My clothes were soaked through in moments. Amid the downpour, a carriage driver leaned out and shouted, "Heading to Yuzhou. 2 spots left. Hurry, hurry," as if compelled by some unseen force. I walked over. The matron at the home mansion had mentioned that a vast new estate had been built in Yuzhou, attracting many outsiders. This meant there would be demand for medical skills. I didn't want to return to the Marquis mansion anyway. Might as well find myself a new place. What if a good opportunity awaited? How much to Yuzhou? 20 coins. I fumbled for my purse. Inside were a few copper coins and a plain silver hairpin. I am going to Yuzhou for the rest. Can I use this hairpin? The driver glanced at the hairpin, then at my drenched, bedraggled state, and waved his hand. Hop in, keep that hairpin safe. A young lady shouldn't give her things away so easily. I murmured my thanks and climbed into the carriage with care. The interior was cramped. The driver handed me a coarse cloth. This rain won't let up anytime soon. Wipe your forehead. Young lady. I thanked him again and curled up in the corner with the cloth. The carriage rolled slowly away. The ginseng in my medicine pouch gave off a faint herbal scent. Suddenly, my spirits lifted considerably. Living under someone else's roof was too hard. I'd better figure out a way to make a living on my own merits. By the time the carriage reached Yuzhou, the rain had eased slightly. The driver, surnamed Qin, was a simple-minded middle-aged man. Seeing I had no money and carried a medicine pouch, he asked, "Do you know medicine, young lady?" A little. "Well, that's perfect." His eyes lit up. "An old woman in the village ahead is sick, and they can't find a doctor. If you could go take a look. I won't charge you for the ride and will even treat you to a meal." I wanted to agree, but felt uneasy. What if this driver was up to no good? He sensed my hesitation and laughed heartily. "I'm just a simple man. It's only natural you'd be wary. Why not wait outside while I bring the mother out?" I'll ask her to see you. How about that? The spot where the carriage stopped happened to be near several shops. People bustled by, creating a lively atmosphere. I nodded, deciding to wait for the driver right there. Soon, the driver pushed a cart toward us. An elderly woman lay upon it, her face sallow and her cough relentless. I took her pulse and examined her tongue, coating chronic fatigue compounded by a wind-cold invasion. Fortunately, her condition wasn't severe. Do you have paper and ink? I asked. The driver nodded and hurriedly fetched paper and brush. I wrote down a prescription. These herbs are available at any common pharmacy. Take a 7-day supply. Once in the morning and once at night. I'll also perform acupuncture on your mother once more to ease the cough after the treatment. The old woman's coughing and wheezing gradually subsided. The driver thanked me profusely, insisting on giving me more silver. Of course, I couldn't accept it. Just as I was declining, several uninvited guests arrived on the street. Leading them was a pale-faced, beardless middle-aged man. He carried himself with extraordinary bearing, followed by several plainclothes guards. His gaze fell upon me, then shifted to the old woman on the bed, whose complexion had improved. He smiled faintly. Young lady, might we step aside for a moment? The driver sensed the situation and withdrew. The middle-aged man introduced himself as Li, accompanying his master on an investigation. To be frank, my master also suffers from a chronic headache that has persisted for years, having witnessed your skillful acupuncture technique and precise use of herbs earlier. I wish to request your services to diagnose and treat my master. I was stunned. Dressed in brocade robes, he was clearly either wealthy or noble, though my medical skills were passable. What if? Rest assured, young lady, should you truly alleviate my master's suffering, a generous reward awaits. 100 taels for the consultation, should herbs be required. Name your price. The mention of payment suddenly brightened my eyes. 100 taels enough to rent a small courtyard in Yuzhou and open my own clinic. More importantly, I could finally stand on my own 2 feet, no longer reliant on the Marquis household. Given that, I might as well try. I accept, I heard myself say. Soon, I followed Manager Li into a secluded courtyard. The grounds weren't large, but the decor was tasteful. Unlike typical wealthy households, I was led to the door of a study. Manager Li motioned for me to wait while he went inside to announce my arrival. Moments later, he emerged and whispered, "Please enter." Young lady, the master's headache has flared up again. I pushed open the door. The study was sparsely furnished. Behind the desk sat a man in everyday attire, his hand pressed against his forehead, his brow deeply furrowed. He appeared to be in his late 20s. Handsome with an air of innate nobility, yet his face was pale, dark circles ringing his eyes, clearly tormented by prolonged headache. Most striking were his eyes. Even in sickness, they remained sharp as an eagle's, radiating the authority of one long accustomed to command. My heart skipped a beat. This bearing was no ordinary man's. This humble maiden is Qing Yutang. Greetings, Your Excellency. Unsure how to address him, I offered a vague bow. Rise. His voice was low and weary. Lita said you could treat headaches. This humble maiden has some knowledge of medicine and is willing to try my best. He lifted his eyes to meet mine, his gaze lingering on my face for a moment. How shall we proceed with the diagnosis? I must first take your pulse. He extended his wrist. I placed 3 fingers upon it, concentrating intently on the diagnosis. The pulse was taut and string-like, indicating liver yang rising excessively and stagnation of qi in blood. Indeed, a stubborn ailment. Your headache has likely plagued you for over a decade. It flares during damp weather, after exertion, or when I overthink, a splitting pain accompanied by nausea and dizziness. Accurate. A flicker of surprise crossed his eyes. Quite so. This ailment stems from liver qi stagnation transforming into fire, disturbing the clear orifices, compounded by blood stasis obstruction. I withdrew my hand. I propose 2 approaches. First, Acupuncture to disperse liver fire, unblock meridians, and relieve pain. Second, herbal decoction to address the root cause. However what? Acupuncture requires needles at points on the head and neck. I fear this might be an intrusion. I lowered my head. He fell silent for a moment, then suddenly smiled. A physician's heart is like a parent's. How could there be offense? Proceed as you see fit. I retrieved my needle case and had him recline in the chair. As my fingertips touched his temples, I sensed an imperceptible tension in his body. I knew he was quietly observing me. Silver needles gently pierced his temples. Feng-Xie points. Bai Hui points. After about half an incense stick's time, his furrowed brow gradually relaxed, and his breathing steadied. How is it? I asked softly. Much better. He opened his eyes, his gaze settling on my face with inquiry. Who taught you this acupuncture technique? Family tradition, I replied briefly, unwilling to dwell on my parents. This humble maiden will prescribe another formula for your excellency. Take it for 7 consecutive days to delay the onset. I picked up my brush to write the prescription. Gastrodia, Uncaria, oyster shell, ligusticum, salvia. He took the prescription, studied it for a long time, then handed it to stewardly. Dispense the herbs according to this formula. Thank you for your trust. Your Excellency. I bowed. Stay in this annex for now. He rose and walked to the window. I shall assess the results in 7 days. I settled into the annex. Stewardly arranged for me to stay in the east wing, where I was treated as a guest in every respect. Food, clothing, and necessities provided. Each day, I administered acupuncture to that Your Excellency once and prepared his decoction twice. The rest of my time was spent studying medical texts or tending to the medicinal herbs in the courtyard. He spoke little, yet during each acupuncture session, I could always feel his intense gaze upon me. After the 4th day's treatment, he did not dismiss me immediately. Sit. He gestured to the chair opposite him. I obeyed, lowering my eyes, unable to meet his gaze. Your medical skill extends beyond this, he said slowly. When you treated the peasant woman that day, you used the Pinellia and Magnolia decoction from the essential prescriptions of the Golden Cabinet with modification, shelving the Pinellia dosage and adding perilla leaf. Why? My heart skipped a beat. He had even looked up the prescription I had written that day. The old woman was frail and elderly. I answered honestly. Pinellia is drying in nature and might have harmed her stomach. Qi. Perilla leaf regulates qi, eases the middle burner, and can also resolve exterior patterns. It suited her symptoms better. Understanding adaptation is commendable. He nodded. Then he asked, were both your parents physicians? My father was once a physician in the Imperial Medical Academy, and my mother also understood medical principles. My voice softened. Several years ago, they passed away due to certain circumstances. He fell silent for a moment. My condolences. It's nothing. I shook my head. How are you feeling today, Your Excellency? The headache has lessened by 70 or 80%. He paused. But I still struggle to sleep at night. I could prepare a calming incense pouch for you, Your Excellency. Place it by your pillow before bed. How thoughtful of you. A faint smile touched his lips. Go now. I stepped out, my palms unexpectedly damp with a thin sheen of sweat. This man, though plagued by illness, still radiated an overwhelming presence. Every question he asked cut straight to the heart of the matter. Before him, I could hide nothing. On the 7th day, I performed acupuncture on him for the final time. This time, his headache had largely subsided, and his complexion had grown noticeably rosier. During the treatment, he even found the energy for small talk. If you were to open a clinic, what name would you choose? He asked. Eyes closed, I paused, taken aback. I've never considered it. You should. He replied calmly. Such medical skill shouldn't go to waste. After the needles were set, he opened his eyes, his gaze clear. These past 7 days have been hard on you. It was my duty. Mr. Li brought over a tray covered with a red cloth. When it was lifted, it revealed a neatly stacked 100 taels of silver and a jade hairpin. The jade had an exceptional luster, carved into the shape of a magnolia blossom, elegant and refined. The silver is payment for your services. The hairpin is a token of gratitude. This is far too generous. I protested hastily. Take it. His tone brooked no argument. Furthermore, I wish to hire you as the household physician. 120 taels monthly, dedicated solely to treating my headaches. Are you willing? 120 taels. That was nearly triple the monthly salary of a regular clinic physician. Your Excellency's kindness is overwhelming. But this humble maiden, no need to answer immediately. He cut me off. Give me your answer in 3 days. He rose and stepped before me. Up close. I caught the faint scent of ambergris on his skin. My heart tightened as I inhaled again. Ambergris. What was his true status? A prince. An imperial heir. Him.Xie. In this life, one must live for oneself at least once. He gave me a deep look before turning away. I stood rooted to the spot, clutching the jade magnolia hairpin, lost in thought for a long while. He was right. In this life, one must live for oneself at least once. Yet I couldn't shake the feeling that this man's background was utterly inscrutable. Simply put, he was someone I couldn't afford to provoke. So 3 days later, I fled. I rented a small courtyard in the western part of town, hung up a sign reading Apricot Grove Clinic, and began practicing medicine. 10 taels of silver covered 6 months' rent and the purchase of medicinal herbs and tools. The remainder would sustain me for a while. On the first day of business, only 2 impoverished neighbors came in, both with minor ailments. They couldn't even afford food. After deep contemplation, I didn't charge them a single penny. On the second day, a child with stomach pain arrived. I administered acupuncture and prescribed medicine, and the child recovered that very night. The mother thanked me profusely and brought a basket of eggs. On the third evening, just as I was about to close, an unassuming blue cloth carriage pulled up outside the clinic. Mr. Li stepped down, his smile as gentle as ever. Miss Qin. The master requests your presence. Oh no. They found me after all. My heart skipped a beat, but I forced a smile. Has His Excellency's headache flared up again? You'll see when you get there. I had no choice but to climb aboard. This time, however, the carriage didn't head to the villa. Instead, it drove eastward through the city, finally stopping before an imposing mansion. Before I could get a good look, I was led into a study. Pushing open the door, I saw him seated behind a desk. Today he wore plain black robes, his jade crown enhancing his extraordinary bearing, like a flawless gem. Hearing the sound, he looked up from reviewing documents. 3 days. Have you decided? I curtsied. This humble maiden has resolved to open a clinic. I fear I cannot remain. You may continue operating the clinic. He set down his brush. You need only come to the mansion 3 times each month to tend to my health. The rest of the time is yours to do as you please. The terms were so generous it made me hesitate. Why? Why are you being so kind to me? Your Excellency. He rose and walked slowly toward me. Sunlight streamed through the study, casting dappled shadows of bamboo. His tall, straight silhouette stretched across the wall, nearly enveloping me entirely. Because he lowered his gaze upon me, his eyes deep. Your needles ease pain. Your herbs calm the spirit. And you yourself. He paused, his fingertip gently brushing the hair at my temple. Make me feel that these days of illness and pain aren't quite so unbearable. My cheeks flushed crimson in an instant. I took half a step back, wanting to flee, but he seized my wrist. His palm was warm, his grip incredibly strong. Him.Xie, he murmured into my ear, his voice laced with a certain coaxing tone. Wouldn't it be nice to stay by my side? In the end, I agreed. On the 3rd, 13th, and 23rd of each lunar month, I would go to his residence to administer acupuncture and treatment. The rest of the time, I would run my clinic, Xinglin Hall. Yet even after all this time, I still didn't know his name, only that he bore the surname Shen and held high office despite his youth. His headaches were indeed a stubborn affliction, but under my careful treatment, the episodes grew fewer and less severe. Each time I administered the needles, he would ask questions about medical techniques, sometimes chatting about trivial matters. Gradually, I discovered that beneath his stern, austere exterior lay a man of vast learning and keen insight. For instance, he remembered my fondness for osmanthus cakes. Each visit found a plate of them waiting on the table. Knowing my aversion to the cold, the underfloor heating in his study was always kept extra warm. Once, I casually mentioned searching for a lost medical text. 2 days later, that very book appeared on my desk. "You've gone to such trouble, Your Excellency," I said, holding the book with mixed feelings. "It was nothing," he said, eyes closed as he basked in the sun. "I'm glad it's useful to you." This quiet kindness slowly eroded my defenses. I began to look forward to our 3 monthly meetings. I started paying attention to his complexion each day, wondering if his headaches had returned. Until that day, when an uninvited guest arrived at Xinglin Hall, Huaijin, dressed in his official robes. He had clearly come straight from court. His ornate attire stood out starkly in my humble clinic. "Yue, he said, his voice dry. I set down the herbs I was sorting and bowed. "Minister-Xie," the title made his face pale. "Must you be so formal? Proper etiquette must be observed." I replied calmly. "Is something ailing you, Magistrate Xie? I came for you." He stepped closer. "It took me a month to learn you'd opened this clinic. Yu Tang. Why didn't you tell me when you left the estate?" I cut him off. "Your Excellency is a busy man. I dared not disturb you. Are you still blaming me?" His brow furrowed slightly. "I know it was wrong of me to make you move that day, but Zhiwei was our guest, needing quiet rest. You overthink things." "Lord Xie." I turned away, returning to sorting herbs. "I left the estate solely to support myself. It has nothing to do with others. Support yourself." He surveyed the cramped clinic, his tone tinged with sarcasm. "Can the Yongning Marquis household not support you? If you love medicine, I could open a grand clinic for you. Hire the finest physicians to practice there. Why toil so hard on your own?" My movements halted. See, he still doesn't understand. He thinks I'm sulking, that better conditions would make me return. He doesn't know that every bowl of porridge, every morsel of rice earned by my own hands tastes far sweeter than anything from the Marquis estate. "Minister Xie." I turned to face him. "Every brick and tile, every blade of grass and tree in this Apricot Grove clinic, I earned them myself. It may be small, it may be humble, but it is mine. You." He stared at me, disbelief flickering in his eyes. Just then, the clatter of horse-drawn carriages sounded outside. Steward Li lifted the curtain and entered. Spotting Xie Huaijin, he abruptly turned away, leaving only a single sentence. "Miss Qin, the master's headache has flared up again today. Please come to his chambers." A hint of inquiry flashed in Xie Huijin's eyes. "Your master is." Without another word, Li hurried away. As if avoiding any appearance of impropriety, I picked up my medicine chest, preparing to follow. As I passed Xie Huaijin, he suddenly seized my wrist. "Yue Tang, don't go." His voice was hoarse. "If you return to the home mansion, I can marry you." I froze. 7 years. I had waited 7 years for those words. Countless times I had imagined how ecstatic I would be if he asked for my hand. But now, hearing those words, my heart felt hollow, utterly empty. "Minister Xie, you jest," I said, yanking my hand free. "You and Miss Lin are a perfect match. I dare not presume to be worthy. I don't like her." He protested urgently. "It's you, Qin Yu Tang, I love." My feelings for her are nothing more than those of a classmate, Huaijin. For the first time, I called him by his given name. It's too late that he froze. That day when Lin Zhiwei brought the ginseng slices, you believed her lies and dismissed my medicine as mere folk remedies. From that moment on, our relationship could only be that of cousins, watching Qin Yutang's retreating figure. Xie Huaijin clenched his fists. When she first left the Xie household, Xie Huaijin had been furious. No, more than furious, enraged. How dare she leave without a word? For the first time, he struck the young maid who attended her. What kind of watchful eye do you have? How could you leave her alone outside? The servants fell silent. Lin Zhiwei, who had rushed over, gently tried to calm him. Brother Huaijin, please don't be angry. Perhaps Sister Yutang is just sulking. She'll return in a couple of days. Yes, she'd be back in a couple of days. Thinking this, Xie Huaijin felt his panic subside. For 7 years, Qin Yutang had been like the wisteria vine in the corner of the courtyard, delicate and helpless. Where could she possibly go? An orphaned girl, utterly alone besides the Marquis estate. She had nowhere else to turn. He waited for her to return and apologize. On the first day, no one brought him the handkerchief to wipe his sweat after morning martial arts practice. The new maid, sensing his displeasure, proactively offered a brocade handkerchief. He sniffed it, frowned, and tossed it aside. Too perfumed, it gave him a headache. Nothing compared to the handkerchiefs Qin Yutang prepared, always carrying a faint scent of mugwort. After sword practice on the second day, he reached out habitually. The maid looked at him blankly, unsure what he wanted. Only then did he remember that at this hour, Qin Yutang would always stand on the veranda with a bowl of warm ginseng tea, neither too hot nor too cold. It was always just right, 3 parts steaming hot, as he liked it. Now the tea was either scalding or ice cold. By the 3rd day, he had caught a severe chill. Over the years, Qin Yutang had nurtured his health so well he rarely fell ill. But this time, the fever struck swiftly and fiercely. Where's the medicine? He croaked. Lin Zhiwei personally brought the herbal decoction, a formula specially prescribed by a renowned physician. Xie Huaijin took a sip and immediately furrowed his brow. It was bitter, a sharp, astringent bitterness, unlike Qin Yutang, who always placed a piece of candied fruit at the bottom of the bowl. Suddenly, countless details came flooding back. He remembered how, at every seasonal change, Qin Yutang would prepare packets of preventive herbs against colds and quietly place them in his study. He remembered how, when he burned the midnight oil studying, she would just happen to bring him calming herbal tea. He remembered how, when he injured himself practicing martial arts, she would gently apply medicinal ointment. He cherished those moments, lying across her lap as her delicate fingers brushed his chest. That Qin Yutang was truly as beautiful as a painting. He pushed the bowl away, his mind in turmoil. It's awful. Lin Zhiwei's face paled, and she withdrew, hurt. On the 7th day, Qin Yutang still hadn't returned. Xie Huaijin began to sense something was terribly wrong. He sent men to search every place she might have gone. Temples, herbal shops, her mother's old residence. Nothing. Nowhere. Terrifying thoughts began to surface. Had something happened to her? Kidnapped? Murdered? The thought sent a cold sweat running down his back. His cousin was so delicate, kind-hearted, and beautiful, alone in the city. What if? Search. Turn the entire capital upside down until she's found. For the first time, he roared at his servants. Bring her back alive. Dead. No. She must be brought back alive. The search dragged on, agonizingly slow. Each day without news weighed heavier on his heart. Sleep eluded him. Closing his eyes only brought visions of every possible horror befalling Qin Yutang. Only then did he realize how deeply he feared for her. Over these 7 years, she had quietly seeped into every crevice of his existence, and he hadn't noticed until she was gone. A month later, news finally arrived. Miss Qin has opened a medical clinic in the western part of the city, called Apricot Grove Hall, Huaijin froze. Opened a clinic. By herself. Qin Yutang, who couldn't even keep accounts straight. He rode there on horseback, his mind in turmoil all the way. He had imagined countless possibilities, but never this one that she had left of her own accord and was thriving. The moment he saw the Apricot Grove Clinic sign, he hesitated to enter. Through the half-open door, he saw Qin Yutang taking a child's pulse. She wore simple, plain robes. Her hair tied back plainly. Her profile was serene and focused. Sunlight fell upon her, making her appear gentle and beautiful. Standing outside the door, Xia Huaijin suddenly felt an inexplicable panic. Why did he feel like he was losing her? He pushed open the door. The conversation proved harder than had imagined. Her calmness, her detachment, even the presence of another man in her life. He saw it with his own eyes, the fleeting admiration that flashed across her face when she mentioned Lord Shen. Xia Huijin's heart sank. For 7 years. No other man had ever been by Qin Yutang's side. How could she start associating with such unsavory men after just a few days? He grabbed her wrist and blurted out, "Return to the Marquis residence. I can marry you." The moment the words left his mouth, he regretted them, not the words themselves, but that had spoken them too late. Had he resolved himself sooner, why would she have left? She smiled. Then she smiled as she refused. "You'll regret this," he muttered through gritted teeth. Watching her retreating figure, "Once you've tasted hardship out there, you'll come crawling back to me, and then..." He clenched his fists, glancing back at her silhouette. "Then I'll rescue you. You'll see only I am real to you." Yes. Once her anger cooled, once she understood the world's cruelty, she would return. He told himself this, over and over. But why? Then, did his heart still race with such panic? Upon arriving at the Shen residence, Eunuch Li led me straight to the study. Chen Yan pressed his fingers to his temples, his face pale, seeing me enter. He lowered his hand and forced a smile. "Trouble you again? When did your headache begin?" "Your Excellency." I set down my medicine chest and retrieved my needle case. "This afternoon." After poring over ledgers for half a day, it flared up. I helped him settle into a seated position and began the acupuncture. This time, he was unusually quiet. Halfway through the treatment, he suddenly spoke. "Did Xia Huaijin seek you out today?" My hand trembled, causing the silver needle to veer slightly. I quickly corrected it. "How did you know?" "Your Excellency, the capital isn't large." He paused. "What did he say?" "Nothing much." "Did he ask you to return to the Marquis residence?" Lord Shen opened his eyes, his gaze sharp as a blade. I lowered my eyelids. "Yes." "What was your response?" I refused. Silence fell over the study. Only the crackling of the charcoal fire could be heard. After a long while, Shen Yan spoke slowly. "Well done." I looked up at him, feeling only bewilderment. This man, he seems rather concerned about my affairs. "A man like that doesn't deserve you." He snorted coldly. "When he wanted you, he treated you like a precious pearl. When he didn't want you anymore, he regretted it and tried to take you back." How utterly selfish. My nose stung, and I quickly lowered my head to continue the acupuncture. "Qin Yutang." He called my name. "Stay by my side. I won't let you suffer, Your Excellency." I shook my head with a bitter smile. "If you move, the needle will slip." He raised his hand and grasped my wrist, which was holding the needle. He paused, as if choosing his words carefully. "To be honest with you, I am not some lowly counselor." I froze. "My name is Shen Yan," he said, looking at me intently, enunciating each word. "In the era of Qingping, I am the emperor." I was brought into the palace. Or rather, Li the steward practically shoved me into the sedan chair. Chen Yan said that the day he met me, he happened to be out incognito. But his migraine flared up. Seeing me treat the coachman's mother, He felt I was as beautiful as an orchid, refined and ethereal, refreshing to the soul. Later, when he learned I wanted to open a clinic, he had to devise another plan, like secretly leaving the palace for a few days each month, just so I could treat his headache. Chief Stewardly flattered me respectfully. Such favor across the entire palace. Miss Qin is truly one of a kind. I couldn't fathom why the emperor treated me so differently. The Imperial Medical Academy had countless skilled physicians. Was I truly that exceptional? I didn't believe it. But one cannot fight fate. I ended up residing in Yusho Palace. Qin Yan visited daily. Sometimes he'd ask me to perform acupuncture. Other times he'd simply sit, drink tea, and talk with me. Soon, rumors began circulating throughout the palace. They said a miraculous physician had taken residence in Yusho Palace, and the emperor treated her with extraordinary favor. They also claimed the emperor hadn't visited the harem for months, spending all his time at Yusho Palace instead. This Miss Qin, they whispered, was poised to rise to the highest ranks overnight. As the rumors grew louder, my unease deepened. That day, Qin Yan came again. After the acupuncture session, he didn't leave immediately. Instead, he walked to the window and gazed at the newly blooming magnolias in the courtyard. Yue Tang, have you ever thought about the future? I replied uncertainly. This humble maiden only wishes to practice medicine and help others, living a quiet life. What if I offered you a broader horizon? He turned to face me. The Imperial Medical Bureau lacks a female physician. It's a 6th-rank position, dedicated solely to safeguarding the emperor's health. Would you accept it? A 6th-rank female physician. That would be unprecedented in this dynasty, Your Majesty. But the protocols are rigid. But people are not. He drew near, every movement radiating imperial authority. Your medical skill merits this position. Or would you rather return to Xinglin Hall, earning a few taels of silver each month? I bit my lip. Silent. He sighed, raising a hand to gently touch my cheek. I know what you fear. The depths of the palace. The emperor's fickleness. Repeating past mistakes. I recoiled in fright. But he pressed closer. But I am not Xia Huaijin. He leaned in, radiating an aura of conquest. In the name of love, I will grant you dignity. If I were truly heartless, why would I go to such lengths? Your Majesty, this humble maiden is unworthy of you. I lowered my head, unable to meet his gaze. Worthy or not, that is for me to decide. He bent down and pressed a kiss to my forehead. I will give you time, but do not make me wait too long. 7 days later, I nodded. That same day, Uniquely smiled as he presented the imperial decree. I became a 6th-rank physician in the Imperial Pharmacy Bureau, tasked solely with tending to His Majesty's health. I moved into the courtyard beside the bureau, granted my own pharmacy, study, and 2 assistants. Each day, I took His Majesty's pulse, administered acupuncture, studied medical texts, and prepared medicinal concoctions. Truth be told, I was quite content with this position. After all, there was no pressure, and I needn't grovel to Xin Yan. Ironically, Xin Yan grew increasingly close to me. When I prepared medicines, he would sit quietly nearby reading. When I tested new formulas, he would disregard his imperial status and be the first to try them. Over time, whenever his headaches flared, he would only allow me to attend him. That night, thunder roared as Uniquely hurriedly summoned me. Master Qin, the Emperor's migraine has struck again. The pain is excruciating, and he won't let anyone near. I rushed to the Qinqing Palace with my medicine chest. Inside the dimly lit chamber, Xin Yan sat propped against the bedhead, clad only in a single robe. His handsome face was pale and gaunt, cold sweat beading on his forehead. Noticing the shock in my eyes, he opened his own and forced a smile. Did I frighten you? For some reason. Seeing his suffering made my own heart ache unbearably. I held back the tears welling in my eyes and shook my head, retrieving the silver needles. Please lie down. Your Majesty. As I inserted the needles. His body tensed in pain. Relax. Your Majesty. I murmured softly. The pain will ease once the needles are in, gradually. He relaxed. When the last needle went in, he suddenly grabbed my hand. Don't leave, he said hoarsely. Stay with me a while, only when you're by my side do I feel. This illness isn't so unbearable outside. Thunder and rain raged. Inside the hall, candles flickered. That night, he lay across my lap, talking until dawn. He spoke of childhood bullying, of brothers vying for the throne, of the hardships had endured. In that moment, I suddenly realized. Even an emperor who holds the world in his hands has moments of vulnerability. When he awoke the next day, I had already put away my needles and was preparing his daily medicinal broth. Outside, the wind had scattered the crabapple blossoms across the ground. A beauty tinged with melancholy. Yue, he called to me. I turned back to find his complexion much improved. Thank you for last night, he smiled, leaning back on the bed, his jet black hair cascading over his chest. His face breathtakingly beautiful. It has been a long time since I slept so soundly. My cheeks flushed, and I lowered my head to continue grinding the herbs. Your Majesty is being cheeky again. He chuckled, then uttered a sentence that made me drop the medicine pot in shock. Yue, I wish to make you my empress. News of the empress appointment reached the court, causing an uproar among the ministers. Even the empress dowager grew curious about me and summoned me for a private audience. Seated upon her throne, she slowly threaded her prayer beads, her gaze haughty. I am well aware of Miss Qin's exceptional medical skills, but the matter of appointing an empress concerns the very foundation of the state. Your family background is ordinary, lacking any significant roots. How could you possibly serve as the mother of the nation? I nodded repeatedly, acknowledging the truth in her words. This humble maiden dares not covet the empress position. His Majesty's favor leaves me overwhelmed. You show good sense, the empress dowager said, lifting her eyes. Since that is so, I shall point you toward a clear path. Your appointment as chief pharmacist of the imperial pharmacy is already an exception. If you remain diligent and content, I shall ensure your lifelong prosperity. As for the empress position, do not entertain such delusions. I bowed my head. This humble maiden will remember, emerging from Xinang Palace. I walked in a daze. Right. I never wanted to be one of Xinyan's consorts. Being a palace official was already more than I could ask for. This Xinyan really. Why did he have to tease me like that? Just as I reached the imperial garden, I suddenly bumped into an old acquaintance. Huaijin waited on the path, his expression frantic. Seeing me, his face turned ashen as he grabbed my arm. Qin Yutang, you want to be empress. Have you lost your mind? Xinyan is the ruler of a nation, with thousands of beauties in his harem. He favors you today, discards you tomorrow. Do you want to follow in the footsteps of those disgraced concubines? I wrenched my arm free. Minister Xie, this concerns none of you. Please control yourself, Yue. The emperor merely finds you novel. Once he tires of you, you'll languish in the cold palace until death. Return with me. I will marry you. This time, I mean it. I looked at him, suddenly finding him both pitiable and laughable. Don't you understand yet, Xia Huaijin? I no longer love you. He shook his head repeatedly. I refused to believe it. Yu Tang, when did you become so vain? How can you discard 7 years of friendship so easily? I cut him off. Whether I love him or not is none of your concern, truthfully. He treats me better than you ever did. He remembers my aversion to bitterness, always preparing candied fruit with my medicine. He knows my fear of the cold, ensuring the earthworm stove burns warm through autumn and winter. Most importantly, I like him. Xia Huaijin staggered back a step, as if struck. You like him? I paused, then nodded. Yes, this answer had only recently become clear to me, but the instant I spoke it, my heart felt utterly clear. It seemed I had truly fallen for him. And what about me? Xie Huijin's eyes suddenly reddened. Qin Yu Tang, these past 7 years, we've been together day and night. What does that mean? You still have Lin Zhiwei. I smiled. She'll make a perfect sister-in-law to me. I turned to leave. But he suddenly began to cry. The esteemed heir to the Yongning Marquis, the newly crowned top scholar, a compiler in the Hanlin Academy, grabbed my skirt hem, begging me not to go. Yue Tang. I was wrong. I truly know I was wrong. Give me one more chance. Just this once. Without you. What meaning does any of this hold? I looked down at him. This man I once loved to my very core now lay before me, lowly as dust. But truly, I no longer loved him. Xia Huaijin. I slowly pulled my skirt free. It's too late. As I stepped out of the imperial garden, I saw Xinyan, dressed in plain clothes. He had clearly been eavesdropping for some time. A sense of dread washed over me. Oh no, did he hear me say I liked him? That sneaky, rotten man. Your Majesty. I stepped forward to curtsy. He helped me up, smiling as he took my hand. Did you make everything clear? I nodded. Very well. He led me forward. My Empress. Your heart must hold only me. Your Majesty truly intends to make me Empress? I asked anxiously. The court ministers oppose it. And the Empress Dowager won't consent. I am the son of heaven. He stopped, turning to face me. Whom I choose to marry requires no one's permission. He raised his hand, gently caressing my cheek. Yue Tang. You need only answer me this. Are you willing? I gazed into his eyes. Within those dark, profound orbs lay the majesty of an emperor, the deep affection of a man, and a barely perceptible thread of nervousness. He was waiting for my answer. This man who held the world in his hands was waiting for my one answer. I had made up my mind. If he dared to fight for me, why couldn't I be brave? I took a deep breath, rose on my toes, and pressed a light kiss to his lips. I do. He froze, his eyes lighting up with fervent joy as he swept me into his arms. I shall make it known to all under heaven that you are my one and only Empress. I am the autumn of the 3rd year of the Qingping era. The emperor held his grand wedding, formally crowning Lady Qin Yu Tang as Empress. The imperial decree sent shockwaves through the court and the realm. The Empress Dowager, in particular, voiced fierce opposition. But Xinyan acted with lightning speed, transferring or retiring several staunchly opposing elder ministers while promoting a new generation of capable officials. He also made numerous concessions and efforts to appease the Empress Dowager. Over the past half-year, his frequent headaches had subsided, and the opposition gradually quieted. Thus, the impossible truly became possible. On the eve of the wedding, Xie Huaijin sent a letter into the palace through an intermediary. It contained only one line. Yue Tang. I've sent Lin Zhiwei away. There are no longer any young ladies in the Marquis residence. Give me one more chance. I'm begging you. After reading it, I casually placed the letter over the candle flame and burned it. On the day of the grand wedding, a 10-mile procession of red bridal attire filled the streets as the entire nation celebrated, wearing a wedding gown embroidered with golden phoenixes and adorned with the phoenix crown personally designed for me by Xinyan. I ascended step by step to the lofty hall of the ancestral temple. He awaited me before the hall, clad in imperial dragon robes, his handsomeness extraordinary. Hand in hand, we offered sacrifices to heaven and ancestors, receiving the homage of all officials. Spring of the 6th year of the Qingping era. Magnolias bloomed in the imperial garden. I strolled through the grounds, holding little Zhiwei's small hand. That year, Xie Huaijin voluntarily resigned his post to join the army on campaign. My aunt couldn't bear it. She wept, begging me to bring her son back. I wrote a letter to Xie Huaijin, but still heard nothing from him. Half a year later, he returned with a leg amputated, and my aunt wept until she went blind. Of course, that is a story for another time. When life hits rock bottom, one must ultimately walk out of it alone. Now, I am busy caring for Yue. The child is 3 years old, lively and energetic, pointing at the magnolia-laden trees and babbling. Mama. Flowers. Fragrant. Yes. Magnolias smell lovely. I bent down, plucked a blossom, and pinned it to his collar. Do you like it, Zhiwei? I love it. The child's eyes crinkled with joy, then suddenly pointed toward the distance. Father Emperor. Qin Yan returned from court, spotting us from afar. The sternness in his eyes softened instantly. He strode over, scooped up Zhiwei in one swift motion, and took my hand. Does your head still ache today? I asked softly. Had been reviewing memorials late into the night lately, and his old ailment had flared up again. Seeing you both makes all pain vanish, he murmured, kissing my forehead. But you, how late did you stay up last night preparing new remedies for me? It's nothing. I smiled. How effective is the new formula? Excellent. He squeezed my hand. You are my truest elixir, beyond the distant palace walls. The faint clamor of the marketplace drifted in. I recalled that downpour years ago, huddled in the carriage, lost in directionless. Show could I have imagined this day? What are you thinking? Qin Yan asked. Just thinking. I squeezed his hand, tilting my head to smile at him. How fortunate it rained that day. He paused slightly, his eyes softening with a gentle smile. I am fortunate too, yes. I am grateful for that rain, for bringing you to my side. Even more grateful that in this world, the bright moon finally illuminates the dust. We have not betrayed the Buddha, nor have we betrayed each other. The end.